Yeah, Di Đà Phật.
And,
yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Thang Thiền. Yeah, go ahead, please.
The person this is very rarely found, rarer than a dumbbell flower. You should have no doubt. I, being king of the doctrines, make this announcement to the entire great assembly. I employ only the single vehicle way to teach and convert the bodhisattvas. I have no voice hearer disciple. You, Sariputra, and the voice heroes and the bodhisattvas, you should understand that this wonderful law is the secret crux of the Buddhas. In this evil world of the five impurities, those who merely delight in and are attached to the desire, living beings such as this in the end will never seek the Buddha way. When either person and ages come to hear the Buddha preach the single vehicle, they will be confused and will not believe or accept it, will reject the law and fall into the evil path.
Yeah, you can stop there. Yeah, can you summarize, please?
Yeah, it's saying like a person is very rare that the person very rare is like not like a normal people. These rare person are the one that can be able to hear the Buddha teaching and understand the Buddha teaching completely. And so the Buddha said that he's the one that make the announcement to the assembly that he only bring the teaching to this assembly only one vehicle, which is the Buddha vehicle, so that they can practice. He say that in this world with five impurity are the one that they are attached, they have so much attachment and they're attached to the desires, and they're the one that impossible to seek the Buddha way. They are the one that will be confused and will not be able to understand the Buddha teaching, and that they will not believe or accept it. They are the one that will reject the law, and they are the one that will fall into the evil path.
Why is that? Or the people here, according to this passage, if they have evil mind, so they could not understand what Buddha teach. Why is that?
Because they have so they're attached to the ego so much that they cannot be able to understand the Buddha teaching. They are only think about themselves, but not to others. When they are the one that want to make themselves happy, and they are the one that are likely to be confused, and they are likely to likely not to understand the Buddha teaching.
Last week, there's one gentleman. He studied at the Southern Baptist Seminary nearby our temple in Louisville, Kentucky. So he called in and asked me several questions. And one of the questions he asked that, do the Buddhists condemned or label anyone as evil. And I replied to him that actually that's not the case. Thăng Thiền, you know why? Why in Buddhism we don't label anyone as evil or devil? You know why?
We don't think of and anyone that's a good or bad. We have to know that they have a chance to become a Buddha, and we want them to practice the good way. Yes.
Yeah. So, Miss Tammy, you know why when Buddhism we don't condemn anyone as evil or devil? You know why?
Well, I think because probably everybody has both sides in them, both good and bad.
Yes.
So at some points, you might have, evil, what people would say was evil, but you always have a chance to turn into goodness. So you would not want to ever label anybody one way or the other, because you can swing back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just be clear, right? In Buddhist views, evil or goodness come from the mind. So when we talk about mind, that means it can changeable, right? It can be changeable. That means one moment they be good person according to their mood, according to their positive attitude, action, but now the moment they turn into what you call evil. That means they have the negative thought and they may have done something that go beyond our thinking, right? So it's easy to understand. So why here the Buddha put down here that when evil person in the age to come, I'm talking about here, Miss Thân Như, Miss Thân Thư, so we know evil or goodness is come from the mind. But why in this passage, the Buddha say clearly that when evil person, when they hear the Buddha teaching, they would not recognize, they would be confused and so forth. Is that contradiction to our Buddhist point of view? What do you think, Ms. Thang Như?
I don't know for sure, but I wonder if perhaps it says when evil persons in ages to come. So perhaps in the future that it's referencing, when the Buddha is no longer as recognizable, when there is an end to the teaching of the Dharma, when there is an uprising in more negative karma, collective negative karma in the world, then it is more difficult to be able to see through the haze. And so perhaps this is when he was talking about that the evil persons arise because there is less goodness, less sutras, less Dharma being taught in the world, because when the Buddha is not as recognizable, not as present, it is very difficult to be able to conceptualize the teaching and to conceptualize the Dharma.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good explanation. Well, Ms. Thang Tư, you have any opinions about it?
No, Tay, I think what my sister explained is clear enough, or I don't have anything else to add to that.
Yeah. Hi, William. How you been, William? Are you there? How about Jimmy? You have any opinions about this?
Yeah, more Thầy. I think that Ms. Thang Tư explained very clear what it is, so I do not have any additional comments or opinion. Yeah, over.
Thầy Giáo Pháp.
Yeah, no more either. I think it's the evil or good thing come from the mind, right? Especially in the age of we call the ending Dharma age. That is where the evil come from. That means the world of evil. So when the people live in that world of evil, that means they become evil easily. Therefore, the label come from the ending Dharma age. So it's not specifically to the person, but basically to the ending Dharma age, basically.
Mm. William, do you follow our conversation?
I just came in front of the computer. I logged on, but I
Okay.
haven't heard anything so far. I'm so sorry.
Okay. We missed you yesterday then.
Yeah, I was planning on joining because I'd missed the last one, and then things went so far over at the office. It didn't even end late. They just went so far. I was scheduled to be able to make it, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I missed it too.
Well, that's good that you're busy with your client, right? With your patients, and keep you busy, right?
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, and that way it's good. I gotta do better with protecting this time.
That's good. Here the thing we discussed that in Buddhism, we don't label or we don't condemn anyone as evil or devil, because that is evil or goodness come from the state of mind, right? One moment, if we have positive mind, if we have compassionate mind, yeah, we would act in compassionate way, in a good way. But not a moment, if somehow we mess up our life, or especially our mind, we have negative thought, we may in others. So that's why in Buddhist view, this is evil poison. But here somehow in this passage, the Buddha mentioned clearly that when evil person in the age to come and so forth. So is that contrary uh, with our views about evil or goodness to come from the mind? You understand the question now?
Yes. Yeah, it does seem like certain people will demonstrate much more of a pattern of action where they could of course choose a new way, and they could of course choose compassion, but they're so accustomed to a certain way of being and a certain way of thinking that perhaps in this setting they're referring to someone as an evil person is just a convenience, where it's kind of under maybe it's meant to, the people listening are meant to have already understood the distinction of evil coming from a state of mind, but just for convenience they're saying an evil person, meaning that a person who is regularly demonstrating that you know that they're going to continue to make the wrong choices, because it's in the setting of trying to protect those people from creating bad karma through slighting the teachings in the sutra. So
Okay. Here, if you could see in this, if you define impurity, you know what's meant by impurities about?
the five skandhas.
No, it's different.
Oh,
Yeah, five impurities.
is it then like lust, sloth, or like laziness,
No,
restlessness?
that's nothing to do with our feeling, emotion, or mind. That
Is it the senses?
huh?
Is it the five senses?
No, not the five sense. Nothing to do with our feeling, our sense, our consciousness, and so on. Miss Thân Như, you recognize this five impurity?
I don't know it offhand, but I am looking it up. So if you're to ask me, I'm telling you I'm cheating because I'm looking it up to see if
Yeah.
it looks familiar at all.
Yeah. if especially if you read the Amitabha Sutra, it will have this sentence, the 5 impurities. Yeah. Thăng Thiền, you know what's meant by 5 impurities about?
No, I
If you
don't.
understand this, you would know, if you understand the context of the evil here. I want to stop to discuss about this because it's very important. We would not be in any kind of contradiction of our views, that we never condemn or label anyone as evil. Yeah, if you understand that. Right.
Hey, in this context, does the word evil not mean necessarily the context that we are used to understand it?
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is, as opposed to when we say evil, we mean really, bad to the core people. But in this context, I wonder if it's used differently to imply that this person might be a person laden with a lot of negative karma, a lot of attachments, a
Yeah.
lot of in that kind of definition, as opposed to being evil as to what we know it to be, or what we are used to it to be. So in that respect, it's more perhaps objective as opposed to being subjective.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thầy Giáo Pháp, can you find and recognize impurity?
Yeah, but I think it's there are 5 impurity. The first one is the kapas impurity. The second one is the view impurity. Keep you, king you, mang you. The third one is called the lifespan impurity.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth one is affliction impurity. The fifth one is keep you, king you. Phiền não chúng sanh cho. The sentence being infinity.
You explain
So,
it one by one.
Basically, when we talking about the world of fire and purity, this is opposite from the Pure Land. The Pure Land, they do not have this thing, but therefore, when in the Saha world, that is right, we live in this world, it's called fire and purity world. Why? Kapas impurity. That means Kapat, that means life. We have many life, right? Many lifetime, and each lifetime when we born in this world, we always evolve within this impurity. That's why we easily our mind easily impurity. At where what the because the karma come from the three karma, right? Three karma type. That means the mind, the mouth, and the body. That purify our mind, mouth, and body easily. And the view that means the way that we understand, the way that we, that means basically it's the wrong view. Basically, that is the wrong view. It's the opposite from the right view in the Eightfold Path. The right view, that means we understand the law of cause and effect, the Four Noble Truth, the Eightfold Path. And opposite from that, we call the wrong view. And the third one is the lifespan impurity. That means when we usually we have the in the Eightfold Path, we have the right livelihood, right? So basically, usually we deal with the wrong livelihood. For example, what is the wrong livelihood? It means that whatever we do, whatever the occupation that we are do for making for a living, usually we bring harm to others, and that is what we call the lifespan or the livelihood impurity. The next one is the affliction. Due to the first four, therefore we will have affliction.
Thank you. Yeah, in general, yeah, if we understand what would I say here, in the evil person is in the context of the five impurity word. That's we hear, not the way that we talk about that we condemn some people that they make mistake as evil, or they create some any crimes that evil. So again, yeah, that's just in correlation with these two. Is this understandable? Thân Thiên, Mr. Tammy, you understand that? Yeah.
I didn't quite catch any of that. I got a lot. The kids are in the background right now. I'll have to re-listen to it.
Oh, really? Okay. You got that, William? You understand that?
Yes, it seems though that isn't everyone in the Saha world then subject to these same impurities?
Kind of. Somehow here is just more in general, not in specific. But you know, let's say somehow the students in the classroom somehow they after the test they the test the average is about 70 points. You understand that? But there's some good student they could get up to 100 points, but many of them probably be in between 70, 60, and so forth. This is just in the general terms. You got that, William? You understand that?
Yeah. So beings living in this world who are more subject to those five impurities, then that's where this idea of evil persons, what it's referring to.
In general, not in specific. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we're born in this earth, or this samsara. Okay. Is that understandable, Mr. Thân Tư?
I was going to ask you, Tay, can you kind of recap it again? So
Okay.
I understand some, but the overall, this whole five impurities, I don't think I grasped it all yet.
Okay, let's talk about what they call the wrong view. That's Thầy Giáo Pháp just mentioned. That's one of the impurity, the wrong view. So again, in Buddhist view, especially nowadays in the Dhamma and the age, so many of us have that kind of wrong view that we don't believe in the law of cause and effect. We don't believe in karma, for example. That's why many of us, not all, but many of us raise some kind of karma that we can label that's bad karma. If we don't believe in we don't believe in karma or cause and effect. You follow me, Mr. Thân Tư?
Yes, Tay, I understand that part.
Yeah, that's why here that's in general term, like Ms. Thân Như just mentioned, yeah, in general term, for many of us, but not for all. That somehow because of the wrong view, many people they raise some type of bad karma, and eventually somehow the Buddha put in court those evil karma. In general, not in specific. All right, that's just our karma. For example, let's say if somehow we walk on the street, and let's say I don't know whether you remember what it's called the armor car, right? That collect the money from the bank, right? Somehow, let's say the door was broken, or some way the car was flipped over, and many $100 bills fly everywhere, and many of them came to pick up those dollar bills or $100 bills. And of course, there's some good people. they would restrain from taking those money. You get my points now, Miss Thang Tư, right? So this is not, it's just in general terms. Right? There's just some good persons, some good people, some bad people, but somehow in the collective form, in general ways that somehow many people, they have tendency to take the money instead of helping the driver to pick up those deals, those money. It makes sense, Ms. Thang Tư?
Yes, I understand. Thank you, Thầy.
Okay, yeah. So that's why I would like to stop here so that we can learn more about this kind of concept in this context, not in the specific context. Yeah, yeah. Ms. Thang Tư, would you like to read, please?
I start where it said, but when.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
But when there are those with sense of shame, person of purity, who have determined to seek the Buddha way, then for the sake of such as these, one should widely praise the way of the single vehicle. Sariputra, you should understand this. The law of the Buddha is like this. Employing 10,000, a million expedient means, they accord with what is appropriate in preaching the law. Those who are not versed in this matter can fully comprehend this. But you and others already know how the Buddhas, the teachers of the world, accord with what is appropriate in employing expedient means. You will have no more doubts or perplexities, but your minds filled with great joy will know that you yourself will attain Buddhahood. So basically it's referring back, so if you are not evil or you don't have evil means, or then you will have, instead of impurities, you will have purity, and you will be able to seek, the Buddha way. So so basically the law of the Buddhas is that if there's 10,000 or millions of experience means, you should be able, from what I understand, is that they will be able to understand but these laws if they believe in if they don't have the evil mind. I don't know if I understand this correctly, but basically you should be able to, your mind is filled with great joy, and therefore if you are pure, you should be able to attain Buddhahood.
Mm. Mm. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have another question. Is, let's say if someone commit crimes, right, and of course, let's say if they have to pay that karma in the jail for, let's say, 10 years, and after they got out the jails, and we may come up and say, well, don't worry, you can correct yourself. Having the evil mind, that's why you commit crimes. But if you are compassionate, if you bring up your mind as a compassionate person, with that compassionate mind, you would change your life completely. So my question is that if that person have that kind of views, that means they recognize within themselves, they have compassionate mind, they have goodness nature within themselves. So what do you think, Ms. Thang Tư? Would they willing to recognize, they willing to follow that, or it's not easy?
In my perspective, I think if you are sincerely pure and have the compassion to change, then I think that you should be, you should be able to. It's based on your karma too, right? So if you continuing, so after he gets out, if he continue to have compassion and he continue doing good deeds, then his karma is going to change over time. So I always refer back to I think we had a discussion many years ago, is it's like you owing money to the bank. So gradually, if you don't, borrow money, and you always giving it back, so eventually your karma will get better. So I think in this incident, I think this person will be able to attain Buddhahood if they continue to have good compassion and create good karma.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Jimmy, what do you think? For that person, let's like I get give one example. So that person paid their karma in the jail for 10 years. So after they got out of the jail, and we tell them that okay, you can be better. You can develop your compassion through compassionate thought. So my question is that, is it possible for that person from having, let's say, evil mind to compassionate mind? Is it possible? It's easy. That's what I'm talking about. Is that easy for them to change from having evil mind, evil thought into compassionate thought or compassion mind? Is it easy, or is it take a lot of times?
Yeah, Mo Phật Thầy. Yes, I think it can be done, but for that particular person, they have to put a lot of effort to change what they have done before, to learn more Dharma, listen Dharma, and do a lot of good deeds, and it can be done, and it can change your life back to normal, and then wipe out all the bad karmas that person did it.
Yeah, here I
before.
don't talk about the karma. I'm talking about the state of mind, right? So their state of mind, because of their negative state of mind, that's why they do the karma. That's why they end up in jail for 10 years. And when they get out of the jail, could they transform their mind easily to the compassionate mind? I'm talking about the state of mind, not the karma involved here. Is that easy?
Yeah, Mo Phật, it's not easy.
Why?
Because that's depend on that individual. When they get out, when they complete their term and they get out of the jail, if they socialize with the same group of people, that the mind is not a compassionate mind, that he going to follow that path again. If when he get out and he socialize with a different group of people, if they have always compassionate mind, then that would be helping a lot. That's the kind of 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, but it can be done.
Yeah, I just threw out that question so that we can recognize it's pretty important to associate with the good friends, right? So that we can learn and correct ourselves. Otherwise, if they come back to the same pattern, come back to the same group of friends, a circle of friends, again, it's not easy for them to develop that kind of compassionate thought, compassionate mind, and they again may go through that patterns. That's why statistically many of them, if while they were serving in the jail and they practice some kind of meditation, and when they got out, they say that about 60 or 70% of them would not go back to the jail. But for those who have not done any kind of mind training, like meditation, they have tendency to go back there, because that's their mindset in about that they what we call habitual patterns. So that's why we need to recognize us. All right, so let's move on to the next. Is that okay?
Do you want me to
Yeah, please go ahead.
say something?
Yeah.
More okay. And remember the last one, the last paragraph. This the Buddha at the beginning. The Buddha said that the scent of the same, right?
Yeah, his internet is cut off. Yeah, I think this one is go to the next let's see here. Yeah, chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3. Yeah.
Before that, this you
Oh, can you still hear us? So somehow he has. Yeah, thầy giáo phán. Your
okay.
the next one is cut off.
Basically, there are two important technique. It's called the inner shame and shame before order. This is the saver for the bad people. If the bad people want to become the good person, they need to have this two. The Buddha said that in this world there are two types of good people. The one who never do any bad deed, that is the first one. The second one is who already did the bad thing, but they have the inner shame and the shame before order, and they can use those two to become a bad to become a good person. This is so important. If they do not have this cup to the inner shame and the shame before order, they cannot become a good person.
Yeah, thank you. That's pretty good. We can discuss about that later on. Yeah, go ahead. And Jimmy, can you read the next one, please? This we move to chapter 3.
Yeah, mô Phật thầy.
Thank you.
At that time, Sariputra's mind danced with joy. Then he immediately stood up, pressed his palms together, gazed up in reverence at the face of the honored one, and say to the Buddha, just now when I heard from the world honored one, this voice of the law, my mind seemed to dance, and again, what I have never had before. Why do I say this? Because in the past, when I heard a law of this kind from the Buddha and saw how the Bodhisattvas receive prophecies that in time they would attain Buddhahood, I and the others felt that we had no part in the affair. We were deeply grieved to think we would never gain the immeasurable insight of thirst come one. World honored one, I have constantly lived in the mountain forest for along under the trees, sometimes sitting, sometimes walking around, and always I have thought to myself, since I and the others, all alike, have entered into the nature of the law, why the dust come one use the law of lesser vehicle to bring us salvation? How did I?
Can you sum?
Oh yeah, move up. The Sariputras are very happy at one point, plus others, when they read that the law from the Buddha, the one law, even they have been, stay in the forest, mountain sittings and all that stuff, but they still very happy with the law of the Buddha path. That's what I understood.
Okay, thank you. Oh, William, what do you think? Let's say if you follow the Theravada, right, and the ultimate goal is to uh, attain art. That means you don't, when you attain time, you out of the circle. I mean, there's a cycle of the birth. That's all. What do you think? Is that okay with you, or you want to move further than that?
Well, I mean, attaining nirvana at this point, I think, in a sense, is unimaginable to me. Of what that would really, what the experience of that would be. I imagine if I attain nirvana, I would probably want to relish it for a while. From my perspective now, I would think it would be like that I wouldn't immediately think to help other people. But if one was, close with the Buddha and saw that, well, the Buddha is not just resting in, I mean, in a way, I guess the Buddha is always resting in nirvana, but at the same time is in action to help living beings. I think at some point it seems like a natural progression that if someone has gone that far to attain nirvana, that it's probably only a matter of time until they're ready to take the next steps. I imagine at a certain point it's probably like maybe nirvana is like the flower bud is emerging, but then at some point it's going to blossom, and that person that's attained nirvana is going to want to help other people. And so it seems like a natural progression, but there is some need, since initially what nirvana was taught as the goal, there is some need to clear things up once people are ready to hear the next part.
Okay, thank you. How about Miss Tammy? Let's say if someone say that, okay, I have my spaceship, all right, I can use my spaceship to bring you to another planet, and over there you'll be free of war, you'll be free of conflict, and so forth. It's just the paradise there, but I can take only you. And if you say, okay, that's happy, forget my children, forget my whoever, can you go?
Oh, I can't go without the kids. The kids have to be able to come too.
Yeah, that's the point. How about Miss Thân Từ? You understand my question?
Yes, do, Tay, and the answer is yes. I understand about the attachment. Naturally, if you think about attachment, then you said yes, you would go. However, I think my attachment is still too strong, and so I will not be able to go without my family.
Now here, I don't talk about attachment. I just give the analogy that yes, it's convenient, but they only take one person, and when they promise you, when you go there, you go to paradise. There's no war, there's no conflict, and whichever thing you want to have is over there, but only you to go. Forget about attachment. I mean that, could you go and forget your children, your husband, whoever back here? Could you go?
No, I would not be able to. Yes. What's the point of going somewhere that there's paradise, but you can't share it with your family? That is the point, right? I mean, it's just so ideal, but you will be all alone, and so you have no one to share it with. So it doesn't make sense for me to go.
Sure. How about Miss Thân Như? What do you think?
Yes, I think it would be, and for the most part, people would not be choosing to go on their own. You want to be able to have others benefit as you, and I think this is what the Bodhisattva's stance is that I can attain this. The Buddhas, they are able to attain this, but are they satisfied with attaining it just for themselves? And so to be able to say, well, no, I don't want it just for myself. I want to have others be able to achieve what I achieve. And so that's why that's their purpose. That's their purpose in their goal eventually is to be able to help every one of us to be able to reach the wisdom that they do. Now, for the Bodhisattvas and the Pratyeka Buddhas, they each of them take different take individual steps in getting there. For example, in the beginning, for the people who are, like it said in the sutras, for those who seek the Sravaka vehicle, that means they just want the initial, they just want the nirvana. So then they are only taught, something very minimal. They are taught the initial Four Noble Truths. That way they can overcome just the basic sufferings that mankind suffers: old age, illness, birth, death, so on and so forth. So by the time they get to nirvana, then, is it enough? Then they get to that point, and perhaps they say, well, then now I'm here at nirvana, but perhaps I want more. I want more wisdom. I want to be able to learn more. So they reach the second stage. And then once you know more, then you want to be able to achieve more. I make the connection as if we are, students. Initially, you want to finish grade school, then you want to finish high school, then you want to finish college, so on and so forth. Each person, as the more they know, and depending on what's going on in their thought process, the more they know, then they want to achieve more, they want to find out more, they want to pursue more. And perhaps that is the path of the people who want to attain Buddhahood, in that the more you know, the more you want to know, and the more you want to achieve that wisdom, and the more of the mental afflictions you want to destroy, or you want to cure yourself of. So that way you are able to reach the peace of mind and and be able to have the wisdom as is promised, if you choose the Buddha way.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Thân Như. And actually, that's in our view, in our high Buddhist view, not in Theravada. If somehow we were born in that country like Thailand, Burma, Sri Lanka, and so forth, we were taught that we just need to attain nirvana. That means this absence of mental afflictions. That's all for us. Forget others. Even over there, they're Buddhists, but still that's their main goal. So yes, that's why we're so fortunate that we learn this kind of teachings. And that's why actually I mentioned several times in the past that even me, when I was young and when I first studied Buddhism, yeah, somehow my view is so pessimistic that okay, I just need to get out of this samsara, this type of rebirth cycle, and forget other people. And again, even us that we know much about Buddhism, we have that strong faith with the Buddha, but we have that kind of misconception, not talking about other people, the non-Buddhist people. That's why I mentioned last time that when I met a Catholic priest, he mentioned about this thing too. He said, well, for the Buddhist monk, they would forget everyone, just go to the forest, the mountain to meditate, and they would not care much about what's going on with their family, what's going on with the society. Mm-hmm. They just want to focus on their nirvana, and that's all. And yes, so we recognize that's this kind of misconception about Buddhism, and that's why here, Venerable Shariputra, he mentioned that he wondered why the Buddha have not mentioned anything about how to achieve to Buddhahood instead of let's say here less a vehicle. That's mean nirvana alone. That's why I gave that analogy. Right. So Thân Thiện, suppose that someone give you that kind of spaceship, would you go by yourself, or would you need to work out and take someone with you before you go. What do you think, Phương Thân Thiện?
I think I would not go because if I go there will be not a true happiness. If I stay and help other peoples to bring happiness to them, then this is the true happiness.
Yeah,
So,
that's why we're so fortunate that we learn this type of Dharma. Yeah, and that's why in high Buddhist traditions, if we make the vows to follow the Bodhisattva path, eventually in future, even we born in the non-Buddhist country, or even we born in the Theravada country, we still have that that seed of vows, and eventually we come back to practice the Bodhisattva path. You follow us, Miss Tammy? You understand that?
Somewhat. So it sounds like you're saying, if I understand correctly, that in past lives, if that's the path you've chosen, then in your future lives, eventually you'll come back to that path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. But I'm talking about here. If we made the vows that we would help others to calm their mind, to transform their mind, while we're working on our own, so much better than we finish up everything and that's done for us. Forget about others.
Oh yeah, no, you always have to help others.
Yeah,
No, that will not. That will create bad karma too, right? I mean, you can't be selfish like that.
But somehow it's not. I'm right now. I'm talking about karma. I'm talking about the state of mind. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Mr. Mr. Nghi, you would like to say anything?
Yes, I wanted to ask, does Vietnam fall under the Theravada studies, the Theravada tradition as well?
This is just a small part of southern era, because we were influenced by Cambodian monk, Thai monks in the southern part. They come there and establish some Buddhist centers in the south, and it spread to the middle part, but most of the Theravada's temples were established in the south. But,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Tay.
Yeah, but I mean that up to now, I think at least 60 or 70% of Vietnamese Buddhist people follow Mahayana Buddhist traditions.
Yes, I see. Perhaps because I was young, and so I did not learn, at the time, I didn't learn more than just about nirvana, but it just seemed that for those around me, my grandmother, my grandfather, even the people, my aunts, they all just talked about nirvana. And I did not know that there was more to that. I thought the end point was just nirvana.
Yes.
And I didn't, so I didn't know that there's, and at the time I didn't know that there's two schools of thought, the Mahayana and the Theravada tradition. But from what I gathered from them, it was just, yes, nirvana was the end point. So that's why I asked if Vietnam was more influenced in the Theravada tradition, more so, because I only have heard of just nirvana, and that was the end point.
Yeah.
Until I read the Lotus Sutra, and when I first read about the three vehicle, it is just one great vehicle, but there's 3 points. There's 2 additional stopping points. That's why it took me, I had to read and reread and make sure that I understood. And then I realized it was just a stopping point, but the ultimate goal is to achieve the wisdom of that is in all the Buddhas.
Yeah, so that's why in Theravada traditions they really focus on the discipline, but they may not care much about other people. In Mahayana traditions, the most important precept, especially the Buddha's precept, is the killing karma. So that's why all Mahayana Buddhist temples follow the pure vegetarian diet, but not the Theravada temple. So Miss Tammy, don't be surprised if you visit, let's say, Thai temple, Burmese temple. It's just next to our temple on the New Cut Road. You know that the one that you remember I mentioned that. That's where.
Yeah, I've never found it though. I keep trying to find it. Is it on the other side of the railroad tracks?
Yeah, when you
Okay.
drive out, you just pass the railroad. It's on the right side.
On the right. Okay.
I think it's about 1,000 feet, and that's the center that we let them to take over, and that's the Burmese temple. And when you walk into the temple, so don't be surprised that they still consume meat. So don't be surprised, all right? But for us,
Yeah.
we don't do that.
It's very surprising too that anybody would think not to help others. I'm just shocked. I can't believe that you keep saying that over and over again. I'm like, I'm hearing them right, but it's shocking.
No, not shocking. But this is the two traditions, two distinct traditions. One is just focus on oneself, right? To practice meditation, to get out of the birth cycle as fast as you can. But the one, another one, that's been our tradition. Yeah, why we practice on the Bodhisattva path when we still practicing on meditation and so forth. We have others. So that's why the first and foremost precept for Bodhisattva is no killing, and that's why whoever want to take the Bodhisattva precept, that's the first important, the most important precept, that they would not consume any meat at all for the rest of their life. If they make that commitment, of course, the lay people, when they come to the temple, they still consuming meat. But for those who want to work on the Bodhisattva path, who make the vows to follow or practice Bodhisattva precept, that's the foremost one. That's the foremost condition, that they cannot consume meat at all for the rest of their life. Because we're concerned about all the people, we're concerned about all the sentient beings. It makes sense? Makes sense, Miss Thân Tư?
Yes, Thầy. Can you, let me see, how do I say this? So one tradition is basically on focusing on oneself to go reach nirvana. The other one is to help others, or?
Yeah, to help others while we practice, like the tutor, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you go to school and you study, but in the meantime, you can be tutor to help others to study too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, William? What do you think? Will we have any input about this?
Yeah, I've asked this question to someone before. I don't think it was to you, Tay. I think it was to someone else. But I periodically run into this situation where if I say let's go out to a certain restaurant.
Yeah.
I know that if we go out to that restaurant, that my fiance Lisa is going to order something with meat.
Okay.
Or where if I don't say anything about going out to a restaurant and we stay home, then it's gonna probably be vegetarian. So that's kind of like part of my awareness, where I won't suggest to go out as much, because in a way it feels like then, since I know it's going to result in her eating meat, I try to avoid even before that step, because then I'm typically paying for the meat. So then it's like I'm involving myself in that. I don't want to be involved in it, but I also don't want to like make her choices for her. So I was just wondering if, what are your thoughts on those sorts of situations?
Again, that's your choice. And you have to be selective, right? Is in Indianapolis they have some vegetarians restaurant there? It's not many or what?
Not too many. Yeah, there's some. There's not too many.
So you can drive around the town then to pick up the good one. Yeah, that's all. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. So yeah. How about Miss Thân Như? You have any opinions? Anything to say about this?
About which part, Thầy?
I'm talking about again the if you follow therapeutic solutions, you need to really focus on discipline, the rules, so that you keep your body and mind pure. But if you follow Bodhisattva paths, the most important thing is to concern about others. And the first and foremost rules in the Bodhisattva precept is not to kill. And again, whoever take the Bodhisattva precept, they need to make the commitment that they would not consume any meat at all for the rest of their life. So my point is that is a realistic way of life for those who make the vows to walk on the Bodhisattva path or to take the Bodhisattva precept. What do you think?
Well, I think in order, it is a vow that is very sacred. So I would think that whoever that takes whichever vow, that they enter into it with the utmost sincerity and respect towards those vows. If you think that you, and we had spoken about timing 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
If the timing is appropriate for you and it is not forced, and you think that you are able to do it without coercion, without external forces, without pressure, and if it's something that you are willing to do for yourself and you are your own motivation, then you should be able to strive to the best of your ability and to uphold that vow. And I find that if you are motivated, if you are self-motivated, then you will probably have a higher rate of success. If you are motivated externally by something else, whether it's by pride, or whether it's by pressure, or whether it's by notoriety or whatever, I don't think you're going to be able to go very far. I have seen people who decided to be vegetarian for 20 years and then reverse course. I've seen people who decide to be vegetarian and continue. But it's something that, you have to make a decision for yourself. It seems like the Theravada tradition, like you said, they focus on the discipline. I think that's also very admirable. It would be nice to be able to encompass both traditions and to uphold, the goodness of both traditions. I don't know. I wonder if the Theravada tradition is something in a sense of, like when you're riding on a plane and if they say if there's an emergency, you put the oxygen on yourself first so that you can, before you help other people. So I wonder if the Theravada tradition is the first step of the Mahayana tradition, in that you stabilize yourself first, and then there's more that is not spoken, because it just doesn't seem to make sense that you're in it for yourself. So I wonder if the Theravada tradition is you firmly establish your foundation, and then after that, once you reach nirvana, then you're able to, go back and help other people. I don't know if this is...
No, that's the point. According to my knowledge, and again, if you study about the Theravada traditions principle, that's not the case. When they're done, they would not get back. They have one-way ticket. So, and here the case I want to mention is that I don't want to talk much about the precept, but I'm talking about whether it's religious way of life for someone who make commitment to become pure vegetarians for the rest of their lives. And for example, if some young people, not all, but some young people, they make that kind of commitment. I have some students in my class, even they don't know much about Buddhism, but they make a commitment that they would not commit, that would not consume any meat at all for the rest of their life. And we don't know, probably they may change, but at least now they make that kind of commitment. So that's what I want to bring up, is that the religious way of life to follow that path, to follow the path that we want to stay away from consuming meat. That's what I want to mention, not talking much about the precept. Yes, it's good, nice for someone to make that kind of vows. But I'm talking in general terms. It's a religious way for us nowadays, in modern age, to become pure vegetarians. It's
Oh,
convenience, or it's religious way of life.
I think in this generation, because my grandmother was a vegetarian for a long, long time, as long as I remember she was. And during her time, it was, in my opinion, it was much harder to be a vegetarian. The amenities were less. And in this generation, there is so many possibilities. You know, the amenities are much, there's a lot of vegetarian restaurants. There's a lot of faux meat, or there's a lot of tofu based food that is out in the mainstream markets. But I don't think that being vegetarian necessarily has to be because of religion. I think it is a compassionate state of mind. And I say that because I have a cousin who, at the age of 13, she was watching, and I think she and her mom and her two sisters went to the Long Beach, is it the Golden Wheel Monastery on in Long Beach, and I think is the monk there is affiliated also with the 10,000 Buddha monastery. So I think he might have been your Dharma brother.
Yeah.
Yes. And so they went and they were watching a movie, a documentary about food processing. And she saw at the way, animals were butchered and how meat was processed and how animals were killed and so on and so forth. And so she decided to be a vegetarian, and she just, and her parents were very concerned that she was still so young, but she was determined, and she's like, I'm not eating meat anymore. And she hasn't been, but she doesn't necessarily would be a person that I would say religious, but she is still vegetarian in terms of that is her commitment to not wanting to kill or having animals be killed for her benefit. So I don't necessarily think that it is purely religious that is people's motivation. I think everybody has their own reason for being a vegetarian, and it does not necessarily have to be religious. It is purely out of compassion, possibly, or whatever reason, personal reason they choose. But it is very amenable in this day and age to be vegetarian. In fact, I think it's very, very easy these days to be a vegetarian. There are, recipes, and there are sites, and it's just whatever you want it to be. You can be as simple, or you can be as complicated or detailed as you want it to be. It's whatever that is most convenient or most applicable to you. But I think everybody can be a vegetarian if that's what they choose. I am vegetarian from Monday through Thursday. And then on the weekends, I do eat with, the rest of my family. And so that's what my decision is for right now. things can change, and it can change either way, but I have certain vows that I have made, and so that's the direction that I'm going. And I think everybody else who has decisions that they make, either a moment in time, meaning, you know, I want to eat vegetarian for 1 month, or I want to be a vegetarian for 1 year, or whatever it is, that vows that they are making, it's very personal. So when you make a personal vow, I think you stick to it more.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's what I want to mention about. Sorry, John. John, you still there? John?
Yeah.
So, how about you? At home, you and your family members consume more vegetarian meal. Is that right? Nowadays, is that right?
So depending on days, like if any food like my mom prepared is vegetarian, I'm willing to eat it.
Okay. How about ăn chim meat at home with your wife and children? Is it easy or it's not easy? Especially you have 2 young boys.
Yes, it is, but I only eat like the first and the 15th and the 30th and the first for us. And for Timothy, that he loved to be veggie as well, except for Franklin.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, William. Of course, you think. I think you know, right? They have some kind of. We discussed before, right? Impulse of meat, right?
Yeah.
We can order or buy from Kroger, right?
Yeah, a lot of stores. Kroger, Whole Foods carries it. A lot of different places.
Yeah, even you can order online or Amazon and so forth. It's much easier, right?
Yes.
So that's why I asked whether it's convenient for us nowadays, right, to be veterans, to stay away from those type of killing karmas, right? So Miss Tammy, you follow us?
Yes. Yep. So, and I've been vegetarian, I guess, for about 6 months now. So, yeah. And I even went to White Castle's last night. I haven't been to fast food in a long time. And so I just went with the goal of getting some fries, you know. And I looked at the menu, and they had veggie burgers and Impossible burgers.
Oh.
So I ordered one of each. And when I got home, the veggie burger was not edible. It was like there's green and orange stuff coming out. But the Impossible burger was pretty good. I was surprised, and it's the first time I've had any kind of like anything that was kind of meat. But for me, I didn't realize how much I disliked the meat. And after I had heard you talked about it, then I realized why I had so much problems cooking, because it just smelled horrible. Like I just wanted to vomit every time I tried to cook the meat. And so it made much more sense once, it all came together.
All right, good. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Okay, anyway, so Thang Thing, you want to say anything? It's no problem for you to become a pure vegetarian up to now, right?
No type.
So up to now, how you still maintain that diet or depend upon the families?
Yeah. I've been taking that for more than 2 years. I've been taking that. I would stay away from meat.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How about Miss Thang Tư? What do you think?
So basically, like my daughter, she has decided, like when she came home, she's more conscious about the environment more than religion. So she doesn't want to eat red meat as much. So in our household, we don't eat, at least now, even now, we don't eat much red meat. But am I religious to the point where I eat vegetarian all the time? Then I'm not there yet. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So all right. So that's so. I think this is over time now. Let us stop here today, and we'll discuss next Saturday. Right. Right. Thank you. Thanks for everyone participation. Thank you. I'll see you then.
Thank you, Thầy, and
Yeah,
everyone.
Một thầy.
Thank
Everyone
you.
Thank
have
you,
a
Kay, and everyone. See you next week.
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah. Bye, David. Okay. Bye. Oh, you want to ask me something, William?
Yeah. Did you get the package I sent you?
Which package? So
Yeah, package. It had like a jar of Chavanaprash, some rice, some mung
I'm
beans,
sorry.
some
Right now,
khichdi.
I'm still in Houston, so I was away for almost a couple of weeks already. So probably they received that. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm here in Houston.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
okay.
here in Houston. I'll be back next Monday. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, one more thing. On next Friday around 7 o'clock. Let me turn off this one.